Welcome to the Journey of Becoming. I'm your host, Karrie Mitten. Before we get started, a quick question. Are you ready to break through to your next level? Up-level Your Life Consulting is where executive success meets soul-aligned strategy. If you're a high-performing professional or an entrepreneur who's accomplished a lot, but deep down knows there's more clarity, more impact, more freedom, more you, then this is your moment. Our executive coaching is for leaders who are embracing reinvention and rediscovering their worth in midlife, ready to shift from caregiving everyone else to finally advocating for themselves, done playing small and ready to claim their voice, their value, and their vision. Looking for a guide to help navigate the mindset shifts that fuel purpose driven success. With personalized coaching, mindset realignment, and vision anchored strategy, we don't just build a business or a career, we build belief. This isn't about doing more. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. Let's talk about what's possible for you. Book a free clarity call today and let's create a bold vision for the next level of your becoming. Visit www.uplevelyourlifeconsulting.com to schedule your call today because you didn't come this far to only come this far. And now on with the show. Our guest today is Liz Keller, founder of Nursepath Advocacy, a patient and family advocacy practice led by a registered nurse with 30 years of experience across the full spectrum of healthcare, from labor and delivery to hospice care. Liz empowers caregivers to navigate the often overwhelming healthcare system with confidence and compassion. Through active listening, deep presence, and practical support, she helps families feel seen, heard, and guided through some of life's most complex moments. Now, stepping into her next chapter as an entrepreneur, Liz is a shining example of reinvention in midlife, owning her worth, finding her voice, and building a legacy of healing and hope. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm so excited to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really, we talked a little bit prior to the show about your hospice work, and I just, again, publicly want to thank you for that work. It's very meaningful to my husband and I. But I'd love to ask you, let's just start at the beginning. Every transformation starts with a turning point, right?
Mhm.
And so, can you share with us a pivotal moment or decision in your life that made you realize that you were meant to do what you're doing today?
Yeah, of course. So I am blessed to have three children, and my children are now 23, 22, and 19.
Mhm.
I've been married for 28 years. And before the kids were out of the house, I had all this anxiety about what that would look like. And, because I was a mom and I was a nurse and I was doing all these things. And I thought, well, once they leave, what will that mean for me? So that happened. And, luckily the bottom didn't fall out. I actually was like, wow, this is hard, yes, but I have so much more time. I have so much more bandwidth of, that maybe I was pouring into the family day to day. And I spent some time just discerning on what I really wanted to do with that and thinking about the breadth of my career, all the things I had done in my nursing career and what was the most meaningful to me. And in that moment, I just thought about all the families that I've helped, whether it be in hospice or back in my days doing ICU or case management, that families that are trying to navigate the system and I feel year after year after year, it gets harder and harder for them.
Mhm.
So I thought this is a perfect avenue for me to use the gifts that I've developed throughout my career and, kind of throw the energy that I might have been throwing into full-time mothering
Mhm.
into helping other people who are, you know, caregiving for someone they love and just trying to stay afloat basically, So that was kind of, I think that just rising up of my kids and the time kind of opening in front of me was the big thing that led me to feel like I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, full-time nurse, full-time mom, and now you're a full-time mother to people who are facing these health challenges and crisis.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
beautiful,
Absolutely.
beautiful. I love that. And so, take us back to, when you were and you are still a full-time nurse or you're still working in nursing, but
Yes.
Was there a moment or a decision that you made that that allowed you to like kind of think about, and I know it's, you're facing maybe a little bit of empty nest syndrome or what or things like that, but instead of like just resting on your laurels, but going and like supporting other people again, like was there a decision that was made, or was there some transformation that happened, or did a ball get dropped, something that was there a pivotal point, I guess is what I'm trying to ask you in a long.
Yeah, no, I guess when I think back on it, um, you know, probably would be actually just at the beginning of this past year, I thought to myself, I have these gifts and I'm using these gifts where I'm helping navigate things with people in my job. And then I'm like, well, but wait, I can do more. So I thought, I did some research into it, into, the availability of these types of services, and there really aren't a lot of places these types of services are available because it's over above and beyond of what any healthcare provider or health organization can provide. So I thought there's got to be a niche for this. And I had the experience, it was a long time ago, back in 2013. My father-in-law experienced a traumatic brain injury. He's fine now, he's doing amazing. But in that moment, I had to kind of jump into the role of that type of person that needs this sort of help, where you have this health crisis with a family member that you just all of a sudden are like, how do I do this? And the gift was that I'm a nurse, I have a sister-in-law that's a nurse, and I have another sister-in-law that's a PT. So
Mm.
we were like, we got this. But I know that so many families don't have that, and they have to learn as they're going through it. So I don't know, maybe I turned 50 in August last year, and then I had a couple months to be like, okay, what do I want in this next phase stage in my life? So to rewind to your question, it just came into me is I turned 50 and I thought, okay, I still have a lot of things left in me, a lot of gifts to share, and I'm going to do this. So
I absolutely love that you said that because, a lot of our listeners are in the, second half of their life and their career, and thinking, maybe it's too late to start something new, or maybe it's too late to, to launch a new business or whatever the case may be. And that's simply not true, right? And as we talked about earlier, I work with a lot of professional women who have reached a pinnacle in their career, and yet there's even more
right.
on their journey of becoming, right? And as I say all the time, we never will have arrived until we arrive to wherever whatever our belief system shares with us. But we will constantly be on an upward spiral of becoming.
Yeah.
And so at 50 years old, you just took it on and decided that the world needed or deserved to have this gift. I absolutely love that.
Yes.
Good for you. Good for you. Because again, you could have just sat back and said, "Hey, you know what? I've put my time in, and
Right.
no, I've got more to give."
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I
And
just, it's so important. So yeah.
what I love too is that you're obviously your soul's calling, your passion is service, helping people. You're a nurse, right? And so what a beautiful kind of transition into using the gifts that you've had, that you've built through your nursing career to support people who are going through some pretty some crisis in their life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. So what's the biggest obstacle that you find as you're not necessarily transitioning, but adding to this with this business? What's some of the obstacles you're facing on your journey?
Um, I think honestly, just trying to get the word out that this is a service, that this exists, right? So there's so many ways now to kind of spread the word, but I feel that that's something I'm exploring more of and trying to figure out where the place is to spread to let people know that this is available to them. So it is a unique service because it's more of a consulting and care navigation sort of service. And I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like, how to get the word out to people.
So share with us, if you will, what exactly it is that you do so that we can be
Yeah.
clear. to get the word
Absolutely.
out for you?
Absolutely. So, I am the person that would be there to support someone who was going on a new health, not a health journey, but a health challenge, like you said, some sort of a crisis.
Mhm.
And it can look a couple different ways. So the first way would be, you say are the child of a parent who gets a new diagnosis, and all of a sudden your world is absolutely rocked, and you don't know where to go. You don't know who's the best doctor in this field, where do I go for a second opinion? Or maybe they just came out of a surgery that was an emergency surgery, helping them make sure that everything is in place. Because I know, honestly, there are, in healthcare systems, those services do exist, but our healthcare system is very overburdened in a lot of ways. And you sometimes don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm the person who would be there to say, okay, tell me what's going on. Let's look at everything together. Let's get the family together. If it's you and your two siblings, let's sit down and figure out, what are you struggling with? And of course, one of the most important, there's a lot of important things, but making sure mom or dad or aunt or uncle is also part of the conversation.
Mhm.
When you're navigating something new as a family, there's a lot of difficult conversations that have to be held, right?
Mhm.
So, a lot of examples, I have an example of a family I helped recently where they were navigating a journey with an end stage liver disease. And it was mom, and they just it was so hard. They were having difficult conversations, and they eventually had to bring in hospice. So trying to help them through that and give them the information they needed to navigate the journey, keep her safe. She wanted to stay at home, all the things. So it can look like that. And it can also look like supporting individuals. It's not just older individuals that are dealing with health crises, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
supporting an individual, through their journey so that they are able to be empowered and advocate too.
Mhm. I love that. I remember when my husband was going through a little bit of a health scare a couple years ago. He's fine now, thankfully, but I had no idea how to advocate for him. I didn't know the process. I didn't know what was right for him. And then I equate that to my daughter when she delivered her baby, she had a doula. Right.
Yes,
And so what you're doing is similar to that, right? Whereas it's a third party coming in to support you, the birthing mom or the birthing parents, right?
right.
And making decisions. Same thing with
Yeah,
similar to what you're doing. Yeah.
absolutely. That's a really, really good comparison because, another example would be going to a doctor's visit with somebody, and it's sometimes like the doctor's speaking a language you don't understand,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Or even a better scenario would be coaching a child who has to go to a doctor's visit with their parent on what to listen for, what to ask, how to make sure things are going smoothly and not falling through the cracks.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's very similar to that sort of a support service,
Hmm.
that is so, in my opinion, desperately needed right now in our world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I think too with a couple years ago with the big COVID, crisis, you probably would have had a lot of opportunity to support people and just making the right decisions and all of that. So,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
share with me, maybe some of the mindset shifts or the mindset things that you had to go through in order to achieve the success that you're having in your life.
Um, Yeah, that's a really good question.
Hmm.
I think one of the biggest mindset shifts for me was, um, kind of believing in myself and that I had a service and a gift to offer others. When you're both a mother and a nurse, you're kind of always in the service of others. And sometimes, you lose yourself a little bit. And I thought to myself, as I turned 50, I have a lot to offer people, and I have a lot of worth and, you know, for lack of a better word, expertise in the field because I've been doing it for 30 years.
Hmm.
So a lot of things that, to me come very naturally. To you, you said about when you're navigating your husband's health stuff, you learned along the way, but I'm jumping in and I have years and years of experience. So I think self-belief and feeling that, I was worthy and had something to offer others, Those are big mindset shifts for me. And just having the courage to step out and create a business. You know what I mean? When I
Mhm.
had been a healthcare provider all those years where I was working for other people, saying, you know what, I can do my own thing, and there's nothing that says that I can't. So
Mhm.
that's more of a continual evolution for me on that.
Absolutely. I think anytime you start your own business, there's always that continued evolution, that journey of becoming, right? That
Yes,
we're going to go to the edge, we're going to face our fear, we're going to jump off and do it anyway. And then there's going to be another opportunity to feel the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Keeps us on our toes for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us what's on your next journey of becoming. What's next for you?
Well, I have a couple things coming up. I'm going out into the community and doing some speaking. And that's coming up in like the early fall. I'm doing a couple talks on one to support caregivers on basically advocating for themselves as caregivers and things like asking for help and how to set boundaries. And then I'm also going to do a talk for individuals to mostly, I'm targeting it towards older individuals who are trying to navigate their healthcare system on their own. So those are two things that are pretty exciting. And then just continuing to serve my clients and spread the word about the services that I offer. So those are two things that are on the coming up here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. So, looking back at everything that you've gone through to get to where you are today, if you could share one piece of advice that's to our listeners who are on their journey of becoming, what would be the one thing that you would love to share with them?
Mhm. Well, there's so many things, but
Mhm.
um, I think kind of what you said earlier, it's going to be scary. You're going to be fearful about doing it. It's going to push you out of your comfort zone. But if you never take that first step into it, you're never going to know how it's going to turn out. And
Mhm.
what I've experienced is each step that I take, something just kind of aligns so that I take the next step and the next step. It's doing the next right thing, basically, that's in front of you. But you got to take the first step first. So that's kind of probably cliche and a little redundant, but be brave enough to, if you have an idea, if you feel like there's a need or a niche or a service that needs to be provided and you have the skill set, you should absolutely do it.
I love that. And I don't think that's a cliche. I think a lot of people forget. I mean, there's all kinds of, quotes around take the next step, the staircase will appear, the net will appear, things like that. But in reality, most people don't take that step. And that's where, the passion, the soul's calling, the purpose is lost.
Right,
And so yes, I that's a great piece of advice is just take the step, and the next one will appear.
right, right.
Beautiful. I
And
love
I
it.
would say at the heart of the business that I want to run is I am a person who is fueled by connection with others,
Mm,
and connecting with people has probably been one of the greatest gifts in my life. We talked at the beginning a little, you mentioned your journey with hospice.
mm,
And when I was a hospice nurse for about 7 or 8 years, those connections that I was able to make with families and be with them in such a vulnerable time, it's probably, when I look back on it, one of the things that also made me think like there's so many people out there that it may not be exactly a hospice situation, but a really scary, challenging, overwhelming situation. And connecting with them and letting them know that there are individuals like me that will be in your corner, that will teach you how to
mm.
do this, that will empower you, whether that be as a caregiver or as an individual. I just didn't feel, I felt like I just had to get out and do that.
I love it. And that's exactly why I do what I do, because in the Bible it says where two or more are gathered, there am I, right? So we're not supposed to do life alone. We're supposed to do life in community. I love it. Yeah,
100%. Yes.
beautiful.
So important.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your journey with us, Liz. It's been an amazing just hearing about your beautiful experience as a nurse, and then using it to even further your gifts and talents with the world and sharing with the world. So, super excited to hear that. I'm sure that our listeners are going to feel inspired to take their action steps as well after hearing your story. So, before we wrap up, is there a place where listeners can connect with you, learn more about your work?
Absolutely. So my website is Nursepath Advocacy. So the word nurse, PATH, and then ADVOCACY.org. And if you go on there, you'll learn a little bit about me. I do discovery calls. So if you have a situation you're working through, whether it be as an individual or caring for somebody else, I would love to get on and see how I can help you. And you can just learn more about me and what I do.
Beautiful. So, so important, I believe. So important. Good. Awesome.
Uh,
Well, thanks for being here today. I know your story is going to leave our
Carrie?
listeners feeling empowered, ready to
Yes.
take action, no matter what age, just as
Yeah,
long as they're listening
exactly.
to their soul's calling, right?
For sure. 100%.
Yeah. So, for everyone tuning in, remember your journey of becoming starts with one step. Take it today. Until next time, keep embracing your transformation.